Hello and welcome. So Michael here, and in this video, I want to show you a way that you can stop snoring, sleep better, breathe better, and improve so many different physiological functions in your body. Now, I'm going to take you through mouth taping. Now, when I first heard about this, I thought it was absolutely bat crazy. But after I read this book, Breathe, by, what's his name? James Nestor, The New Science of a Lost Art, I became increasingly convinced to try things like mouth taping. Now I'll take you through it. And one of the things that's pointed out in the book is that a lot of problems in the modern world and modern humans could very well be linked to mouth breathing. So what happened through the evolutionary process is that our brains were smaller, and then over time our brains got really big, and it's the frontal cortex that really expanded the most. And the frontal cortex went forward, but what that did is it sacrificed, and our nasal cavity got sort of squashed and made smaller in order for the big brain to move up the front. And if you look at any sort of prehistoric human or monkey, they got very big nasal passages, and the brain is actually further back in the skull. So there's a lot more space. And in the book, he even argues that maybe it slightly could be called a de-evolution, where our nasal cavity and our breathing has actually gotten worse as our brain got bigger. So very fascinating look at basic anatomy and why we're mouth breathing. Now, I even read an article the other day by a dentist saying that, mouth breathing is likely one of the main causes of teeth decay, because when you mouth breathe, you dry the saliva out and then the teeth start rotting. But also for children, if they're mouth breathing all the time, it could be very common that children get diagnosed with things like ADD, ADHD, etc., because the gas in the brain, or the gas exchange when they're mouth breathing, and then when they wake up, the system's not functioning properly. The physiology of the brain's not functioning properly because it doesn't have the correct oxygen balance because of mouth breathing. And so kids are running around, and then we think they've got attention deficit problems, but really it could be because they're not breathing properly and the brain's not getting fueled properly. So this is just to give you a bit of an insight into how detrimental and how vast the problems could be, mainly because of our problem with mouth breathing. And of course, snoring fits into mouth breathing, and that's where it's coming from. All snoring is essentially coming from mouth breathing. And as you get older, the muscles in the throat, etc., get looser, lose their elasticity, and so they sag into the airways through the mouth where we're breathing, and that's what causes the snoring. So the easy fix is actually to close the mouth, breathe through the nose. If you breathe through the nose when you're sleeping, you won't snore, ever. So how do we do that? And that's where mouth taping comes in, and I'm going to take you through it. So I've been experimenting with this because I realized I was mouth breathing, my mouth was getting dry, and I was noticing, like, I just turned 40, and I haven't really been a snorer, but I noticed when I drink alcohol, like wine or something, and then go to bed, my partner's like, you snore more, you make more noises, when you drink. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to be a snorer. So anyway, that propelled me, and I was so glad. And since I've been doing mouth taping, I really noticed a huge difference, and I'll talk more about that in a sec. But the first thing I want to show you are these things called nasal, what do they call them? Nasal strips. So this is in Spanish, but you can get them anywhere. They're really cheap, and they're basically like little plastic strips. And what you do is take them off, you line them up. So I'll use the camera. I'll take my glasses off. So I line it up on my nose, the spine down the nose, and then I'm supposed to dry it off first so the oil gets off. And then I place it on my nose like this, push it down. And that there's a little bit of tension that's built into it that helps open the flap on my nose. Now, it's not a huge difference, but I can definitely feel that it's much easier to breathe through my nose when I put these nasal strips on. Some athletes use them because it helps, obviously, you're running and stuff, and it helps you breathe through the nose, which is a much better way to fuel the whole system, to fuel your muscles, etc. He's got a great bunch of sports references of athletes that have been trained to breathe through their nose versus athletes that haven't been trained and they just breathe through their mouth. And there's a massive difference between nose breathers and mouth breathers. So these are not only for people who want to, sleep better at night, but they're also for athletes. It's also for anyone who's serious about breathing through their nose more. So this is one part of it, and then the actual mouth taping itself. So this is the tape that I use, and I get this from the chemist, the drugstore, and it's kind of that tape that you use when you bandage something, and you use that tape to secure the bandage. So it's a very light tape, and it's sort of skin friendly. And the thing with mouth taping is you just take off a little bit. Every tape's a bit different, so it takes a little while to work out the best size and stuff. So I get it, and then I just put it like that. So I can still breathe if necessary through the sides. I can still talk, obviously, but it just holds the lips together. It's like a memory or something. So now I've got the mouth taping plus opening the nose, and I find, I'm going to take this off, and I find that I sleep so much more peacefully and more rested. And in the morning, wake up feeling so much more rested. My mouth feels like the saliva is healthy in my mouth. My teeth feel like they've actually, they're not being degenerating all night. So I'm not dehydrated in the mouth. I actually wake up, there's healthy saliva. I feel kind of clearer, calmer, and actually I can maintain that throughout the day a lot easier. And with that, over time, sometimes I may forget to put the tape on at night, is that naturally I start doing it more and more. So over time, even if you're asleep, if you do mouth taping for a while, is that you'll just naturally start breathing through the nose when you sleep. And that's kind of where you want to get to as you train yourself to get to the point where you potentially don't have to tape anything, but it does take training to get there, right? It does take this work. So I really recommend mouth taping. These strips are an extra, so you can try those out, up to you. But definitely if you want to stop snoring, if you want to, be less dehydrated in the mouth, you want to have a better quality sleep, and potentially reduce so many different kinds of ailments, inflammation, it can really help with all of that if you start training yourself to nose breathe more often. So that's it. That's my little wrap. That's my little demonstration of what to do, what you can do. If you want more info, then definitely check out the book. It is super inspiring, and quite funny actually as well. And it really is alarming how much mouth breathing is potentially damaging our physiology. So that's it for this video. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully it's inspiring in some way. Get taping, breathe through the nose, be happy, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.